$500, baby, and you can pick my teammate.
Give him the chump.
You mean play basketball?
Yo, what up, Elo? What's up, baby? Just kicking this in 92 for the basketball. Check it out. Swing.
How's it going, everyone? This is episode 4 of the Cream Team Podcast. I am your host, Griffin Markwith. With me, as always, is my good friend, Hunter Gonzales. How's it going, Hunter?
Hey, y'all. It is going great. Thank you so much for asking me that. So it's been a crazy few days going on in the NBA. We've, I think it was Thursday or Friday we did the last one, and man, it was, you could go back and listen to everything that we said with that one, and you could just throw it all out because you got the Thunder with the 2-1 lead, you got the Raptors with the lead going into the fourth quarter on the Cavs right now. It's everything that we thought it wouldn't be, if that makes any sense. So tell me, let's just get right into the Thunder the Warriors. Tell me, what are you thinking about that? And granted, there are some subplots to that we got to talk about, but just the game overall in this series, what are you thinking about it?
Well, I just want to say that we sort of picked a bad time to start an NBA podcast because all of our predictions in the first couple episodes have turned out to be basically entirely wrong.
Yep.
And obviously neither series is over, so we'll see if we do turn out to be right. But I mean, the fact that OKC is up 2-1 and the fact that they, granted, it was at home, but they truly did dominate Golden State in Game 3. It's just kind of, I don't think, I for one certainly did not expect it. I know you didn't, and I think the consensus around the league is that people expected Golden State to win this series, not necessarily easily, but they certainly didn't expect them to be down 2-1 and get just demolished in Game 3. I mean, absolutely slaughtered.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying, and this just came to me while you were saying, no matter what, this thing, let's just say the Warriors are to win, this thing's going at least 6. And it makes this it makes this Cleveland-Toronto series all that much more important, because if that Western Conference goes 6 and the Heat can, I don't know why I keep saying the Heat and Miami, if the Cavs can pull this out tonight and they're up 3-1 going into Game 5 on Wednesday, that game that the Cavs had the extra rest, that can be huge, and I think it's kind of like that boxing fight, that UFC fight, where if you can find tape on somebody and just exploit their weaknesses, you're going to win. And I think that whether it be the Raptors or the Cavs, if the Warriors are to get out of the Western Conference, these teams have got some really good tape as to what to do. I'm not going to say that Kyrie Irving is Russell Westbrook or Kyle Lowry is Russell Westbrook, but I mean, they've got some tape on what to do. So it's kind of, I'm honestly shocked, really, that they have a 2-1 lead. I can understand if it was 2-1 Golden State, but it's the other way around. And so I'm really shocked, and I don't think that I'm the only one that's feeling that way.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely not. And I think it's interesting that we made the prediction that Cleveland would win it all last episode. And honestly, although they did suffer a pretty bad loss at the hands of Toronto in Game 3, my thoughts have not changed on that. I mean, Golden State, they clearly aren't, I don't know. I want to say they're not right. I want to say just something is off about them, but it honestly may be the case that, exactly like what you said, people just have so much tape on them, and it's the playoffs.
Yep.
You plan for these matchups, and they aren't necessarily exposed, but they're having trouble. They certainly are. Like it wasn't just a loss. They got manhandled, and they just really could not keep up with the firepower of both Durant and Westbrook. And give credit to OKC's bench guys, because they were very productive as well. So I still think. I think Cleveland is going to get through Toronto despite the Game 3 loss. I think they're going to win tonight. It's neck and neck right now. I think it's 78-77.
Yep, I have it on right now. And Channing Frye just hit a three-pointer in Carroll's face, and so it's 78-77. The Cavs have got all the momentum in the world. In the first half, they were 3 of 22 from three-point. In the third quarter, they were 6 of 8. And I mean, we can go back to Game 3, and I know we were talking about this off air. I don't think it was so much. I'm not going to take away from the Raptors, but I don't think it was so much the Raptors winning as it was the Cavs losing. I can't remember what it was that we talked about in terms of what their field goal percentage was, but they were missing it was an inordinate amount of shots.
Yeah, it was brutal. I think Irving and Love combined to be, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was 4 of 28 or something
I think that
absurd
is
from the field.
So yeah, you look at that. I mean, if they still shoot terrible from the field and they're, let's say, 10 of 28, 11 of 28, that's 15 points right there that we're talking. So, I mean, I'm not really so much worried about the Cavs. I'm really not. And they, just like I said, they have all the momentum in the world right now on their side after the third quarter that they just had. So, yeah, I think they'll go up 3-1, just like you said right before we came on here. But I think come next podcast, whether it be Wednesday or Thursday or whenever it is that we do it, I think we're going to really key in, and we'll spend the majority of that podcast talking about what happens in Game 4 of that Dubs Thunder series, because that is a critical game. If it's 3-1 Thunder, I don't foresee the Warriors coming out on top. But if it's 2-2, then I foresee that going 7 games, and that's huge, because if you can allow the Cavs to win in 5 and then you play 7, that 2 games extra is, that's a little bit daunting on whoever it is, the Thunder or the Warriors.
Yeah, it is. And I had I know we plan on, as you said, we plan on going deeper into that series in terms of analysis next episode, but I wanted to ask you a couple not exactly, well, a couple brief things on that series. One, I wanted to ask you, what exactly do you think Golden State's problem is? Why they've been having, or why OKC has been giving them all sorts of fits. And then 2, do you think it would be good for the league if this team, this historic record-setting team, were to lose? Do you think it sort of gives the league a higher sense of parity and competition, or do you think that it would be bad that this team, like the NBA can't really hang their hat on the fact that they had a record-setting team that also won a championship? I
think, and I'll answer the second one first, and then I'll get to the first question. I think that in regards to the second one, I think that the NBA will be more so mad that the Thunder are in it, because it just I don't foresee the Thunder giving the Cavs too big of trouble. I really don't. And also just the fact that it's in Oklahoma City. It's such a smaller market than San Francisco. Exactly. And so I don't. Do I think that from a fan perspective and from a money perspective, which is what all sports leagues are about, I don't care what you say, it's about money. But from a purely financial standpoint, I think that the league wants it to be Golden State and Cleveland, but I guess from a fan sense, they also want it to be that, because just like you said, it's something to hang their hat on. The 73 and 8, 73 and 9, whatever it was. Just imagine all the merchandise they would sell from that alone. Exactly. So I think from a historical sense they want that to happen, but that's a touch on your parity thing. Channing Frye with another 3. And how great of a pickup has he been? It's unbelievable. He has been great. I'm looking right now, 12 points, 4 or 5 on the 3-point line. But from a parity sense, I don't care if the Thunder win. There still is no parity in the league. You have your top 5, 6 teams, and that's it. Because it's really, really a superstar-driven league. It is so much more so than other sports. Go look at, let's say, you could say both of our teams, the Celtics and the Jazz. There isn't a superstar on those teams, and you see the Jazz didn't make the playoffs, barely missed them, and then the Celtics, bounced in the first round. Exactly. So yeah. I'm going to touch on your first question about what's giving them problems. I think that honestly, Westbrook is playing out of his mind right now. That's true. And when Westbrook, he is such a momentum player. If he's got momentum on his side, he's deadly. That's true. So I think, I'm not going to say that it's just singularly one player as to why they're up 2-1, but Westbrook has got to be, he's the main reason why. So it's something that I don't see Westbrook, it comes back to how important tomorrow is. I don't see him slowing down, but if he is to slow down, it's going to be because he has a bad game tomorrow. What are you thinking about? I mean, what do the Warriors need to do to secure Game 4 and then go on to secure the series? What do they need to change? What do they need to start doing? Things like that. What needs to happen?
That's interesting. I do want to touch on your Westbrook angle. I do think you're absolutely correct, and I think that Golden State was sort of counting on Westbrook to already have one of his Westbrook games where he shoots 3 for 20 and has 8 turnovers. But he hasn't done that yet. Mm-hmm. It's been sort of uncharacteristic, out of character for him, but he's managed to be, and even in Game 1 when he didn't necessarily have a great game, he was still really a positive factor for Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I really don't know as to what Golden State has to do. I'm sure Kerr, as we've talked about before, is a great coach, and he has a great coaching staff. I know they'll think of something to throw at them. But like we said, this is a star-driven league, and they have two of the
top 5, like you said.
Of 2 of the top 5, so 2 of the superstars. So if both those guys are on, there's just not much Golden State can do. They can't really guard both of them.
Exactly.
I mean,
you can't, and I think the thing is I'm not going to say Stefan's a awful defender, but he's by no means a really, really, really good defender. And
no, he's not. He's not a great on-ball defender. He is an excellent off-ball defender. I'll give him that.
And Westbrook's not an off-ball player. Let's just face it. So
exactly, that's the issue.
Westbrook is such a he's such a point guard matchup nightmare. He really is, just because he's so athletic, he's so big. But this isn't something that I would have said 3, 4, 5, 6 days ago, but right now it's looking like it's a Thunder series to lose, and that's just, honestly, it's flabbergasted is the best word to describe how I feel about it. It's just not what everybody thought it would be. But
Hold on.
Was that Draymond Green kick? Was that intentional? Was that just Draymond being Draymond? What do you think about it?
So it's funny. I watched his. I wasn't able to watch the game, unfortunately, so I didn't see the kick live. And I actually watched his explanation of the kick, or what he thought. If he thought he would be suspended for Game 4 before I saw the actual kick.
Yeah.
And I watched that, and I was expecting him to, sort of like flail around and be sort of in a position to where the kick could actually look incidental. And then I watched the clip, and the guy clearly flung his leg out and kicked him in the groin. Like, it's almost laughable that he would try to defend that move. And I think it was Stu Jackson who tweeted that NBA players are very athletic and coordinated. They know how their body moves. Yet he still was not suspended. It just came in, I think, an hour or 2 ago?
It was pretty recent that he wasn't suspended.
And let's I obviously want to hear your take on it, but let's talk about this double standard in which Dante Jones, a guy who I really dislike, by the way, but I still don't think he was suspended. Dante Jones was suspended for his kick, quote unquote, on Bismack Biyombo in Game 3.
Who, by the way, had a career game, and you see that he's never going to have that again, and they are probably now losing.
They're up by 1.
Oh, okay. Then that just happened. I'm not even going to talk about that game. He pulled a Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He pulled everybody out of his hat and somehow played that game. But I'm gonna that Draymond.
But let me ask. Do you think that it is a clear, I don't want to say tampering, but a clear double standard that Dante Jones was suspended for what really is hard? I don't necessarily think he should have been suspended for it. Yet Draymond was not suspended for something that pretty much everyone thought that he should have been suspended for. What do you think about that?
Absolutely a double standard, and that's anywhere in any sport. Is you have the superstars that have the preferential treatment, and I'm not calling Draymond a superstar, but he is definitely one of the main focal points in that series. And when he if they can justify it, because I was reading right before we came on air, there was a guy who tweeted, I don't know who it was, but he tweeted in however long Twitter videos are supposed to be, I'm not too familiar with it, but he tweeted 140 times that Draymond this past season had done something similar to the kick on Adams. So if the NBA can find just something to kind of key in on and say, you know what, this might not have been intentional, then they're going to say, oh yeah, it wasn't intentional, it was totally accidental too. I think it was accidental. Absolutely not. Everybody knows it wasn't. But if the NBA can find a reason to not suspend him, they're going to do that. And let's be honest, Dante Jones, I mean, he's about the 10th, 11th man off the bench in Cleveland, so
Yeah.
so it's not like he's needed. I think if it was LeBron who did the same thing that Draymond did, neither of them are suspended. It's a kind of a brushing.
Okay,
What were you
go
gonna say?
ahead. I'm sorry.
It's just kind of a brushing under the rug type thing, and just say, you know what, don't do it again, man, because then we can't defend you. Fool me once, shame on me, or shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, kind of thing.
Right.
I don't. We know that Draymond. I wouldn't say he's a dirty player, but he's definitely a type of player that will. He's going to do some things to get under your skin, and I believe that is what he did, and he did it intentionally, and there's no denying that.
I was going to ask you what you had to say to the public about your boy LeBron's just gratuitous flop after Tristan Thompson gave him a little accidental love tap. I mean, that was. I know the Oscars already happened, but do you think that he can get a?
I was just about to say that. I mean, he might get best actor. I'm not even kidding you. That was one
pathetic.
of the. You would have thought that he had been sniped. I mean, the dude,
Yeah.
he
Snipers in
flew
the
back, and I mean, he acted like he had been shot. I'm not even kidding you. I can't defend him. I can't. I'm not even going to attempt to.
Good. Thank you. I'm glad.
I mean, there's no defending him. Do I believe it probably hurt? Wow, Richard Jefferson getting up right now. But do I believe it? It probably hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an elbow to the nose, but it didn't hurt like he made it seem. He made it.
Did he even elbow him? I thought he just kind of hit him with a hand, like or his wrist. Maybe.
Whatever it was, he was touched on the nose. Do I believe it was anywhere near as bad as LeBron made it seem? Absolutely not. And here he is flopping again. I'm sorry for these little takes, but he was just grabbed by the neck, and you would have thought that he died.
Oh my gosh.
So.
He's
And
the worst.
it goes to what Draymond said about Steven Adams and Russell Westbrook coming to defend Steven Adams today. Draymond said that and he's talking to Russell. He said, you're one of the reasons why we have this whole flopping thing, and it goes back to the superstar preferential treatment. So
Interesting.
you asked me originally about the LeBron, and then you want to get to the Draymond. I believe Draymond did it intentionally, and I cannot defend LeBron. So. What are you thinking about what Draymond did? If there should have been a fine, if there should have been a suspension, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I guess I consider myself kind of like a black and white guy in that regard. Like I think that I know the NBA has all these particular rules to where they don't consider intent and all this stuff, but I think if it's clear that the guy, made a movement to hit another guy, I think it's clear cut that guy should be suspended for the next game and fined, a set amount.
Yep.
And I have my issues with the NBA certainly. Whether it be refereeing, whether it be officiating or with this double standard. I guess, like you said before, superstar treatment. I just don't think that the NBA can sort of be subjective on matters like these. I think they really need to take an objective approach and address the issue because, I mean, it's just so transparent that they're being unfair. And it really doesn't matter that Dante Jones got suspended. Like you said, the dude's the 11th man on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, probably the only regret on the Cavaliers' part is that the guy didn't kick Biyombo in the first quarter and try to take him out of the game.
Yeah.
But still, you can't suspend one guy for contact that was less than this other, although better player, initiated in his game. It's just unfair. So
it is, and it brings you brought kind of the transparency, and I know we hadn't really, guys, listeners, just so y'all know, we kind of we would be doing y'all a disservice if we just came into this and threw things together. So before we come on air, we kind of set a final schedule. We talk 4, 5, 6 things and just go from there. But I'm going to kind of veer off the beaten path, and I'm going to talk about something that just came to my mind when you talk about transparency. And what are your thoughts on these 2-minute officiating reports that the NBA comes out with the day after games? And I'm going to ask you your thoughts on them so that I can allow my thoughts to simmer down, because I have very strong feelings about this. But what do you think about this complete load of bunk that they like to call their 2-minute officiating reports the day after games?
I have a couple opinions on it. I think on one hand, it's good that the league takes accountability and owns up to the officials' mistakes. That being said, as a fan, it really upsets me that these officials can make so many wrong calls, and really, it doesn't matter. The report doesn't matter. It has no effect on the actual game. And B, the fact that despite these officiating reports, these guys are still making basically the same mistakes over and over again. I mean, it's been happening for years. Mm-hmm. So despite the NBA taking accountability for their employees' mistakes, they're not actually really doing anything to correct the issue on a long-term basis. It just kind of says, oh, look, this guy messed up. But right, he messed up. But what are you going to do to ensure that he doesn't continue to make that mistake?
Exactly. And I think that's kind of how I feel about it. It's just, is it good for the transparency of the game? Yeah, but it serves no purpose other than making the guys that you employ and the guys that you give the job and the duty of patrolling and refereeing, in my opinion, the most entertaining sport in the world. You are literally saying, you are terrible at what you did that game. Here's how you messed up. We're going to put you on blast in front of people, but we're going to do all that, but we're not going to reprimand you for it. And it's honestly a joke. I hate that they do it. I understand why they do it, but I hate that they do it because it allows you to see just how bad officiating is when it really matters. Mm-hmm. And
it's kind of like I'm sorry, continue.
No, go ahead, because I'm just going to go around in circles, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was going to echo your sentiments and say that it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, you want to, that they messed up, even the casual fan, but especially, a more educated fan can see that these guys messed up. And so you want the NBA to own up and say that, yes, we did mess up. But at the same time, it really infuriates you as a fan to see that they know that they're messing up. They know that these guys that they continue to employ are making these mistakes over and over again. Yep. So you kind of want to see it, but at the same time, you want it to be corrected, and they just have not been able to do that. But I see we're not running low on time, but I was wondering if you wanted to get into any of the other topics. Did you want to briefly discuss your boyfriend's possible return to Miami?
Let's do it. So, guys, y'all, I want.
Let me preface this by saying, please don't turn off the podcast, because Hunter is about to quote the hot garbage reporter Stephen A. Smith. So brace yourselves. This is about to be awful.
So Griffin gives his disclaimer. I'm going to give my disclaimer. I want to let y'all know that I am not by any means a Stephen A. Smith.
He's quoted him 2 episodes in a row, guys. You have it on tape.
But yes, I have quoted him 2 episodes in a row, and I'm going to read y'all just a super quick. I'm going to take bits and pieces from what Stephen A. Smith said. He said, this is Stephen A. Smith on First Take last week. And
oh my God! And it's from First Take.
He said that.
Let me just say, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but do you want to throw in a Skip Bayless quote too while you're at it, just to spice things up?
Skip Bayless is a joke, even more than Stephen A. But Stephen A. basically states, and I'm not going to read it, but he basically states that LeBron. He's reading way too far into things. He stated that LeBron and his SI diary pin, that's what I'm going to call it, his pin to the city of Cleveland back when he returned. He stated that LeBron never once stated, I'm going to stay here for 10 years or 5 years or anything like that. All he said was, I'm going to bring this city a championship. That's all he said. So Stephen A. is beginning to read into it and think, and he's quoting his unnamed sources, which means he doesn't have any. But he's quoting his unnamed sources saying that LeBron is giving serious consideration to opting out this year because he does have an opt-out clause in his contract, which he desperately wanted before the salary cap spikes. And
he's all about the money.
Hey, you can't blame him. Shoot.
No, I can't.
But he's stating that LeBron is giving serious interest to going back to Miami. Do I believe that? Absolutely not, because LeBron's he cannot afford to take that. It would be a PR nightmare. He just can't afford to do that to his image anymore. But do I believe that it would make for a really interesting offseason if LeBron and Durant were both switching teams? Absolutely. Real quick, what do you think about that? Then we're going to get to this new little segment that me and Griffin are going to add that I think that the fans are really going to love. But what do you think about the Stephen A. Smith report?
Well, you know my thoughts on Stephen A. and you know my thoughts on LeBron, so I'm not sure that I really have anything positive to say about this story. But I will say that yes, I think he's reading too much into it. And let me just say before I give my thoughts on this matter specifically, that can we just stop, like, not us per se, but can everyone just stop listening to this guy and stop taking him seriously at all? Like, he's proven that he's unreliable. Durant called him out. Like, let's just look back at the most recent example. The last time that this idiot said that a superstar was going to go somewhere, the superstar came right out and said, "Nope, he's a moron, he's a liar, and he didn't talk to anyone that I know." So whose word are you going to take? Stephen A. Smith or Kevin Durant? I personally will side with KD and say that this dude is a certified idiot, and he just should not be relevant at all. He's a joke. He really is a clown, both him and Skip. And I know, I'm not naive enough to not realize, that they're doing this for the views, they're doing this for the hits. Let me interrupt myself really quickly and ask you, have you seen the new intro for First Take?
I don't watch that crap.
Neither do I.
I work, and even if I didn't work, I would not waste. I don't even know how long the show is. 3 or 4 hours. I would not.
It's too long. However long it is, it's too long.
I wouldn't waste my life watching that, because that would be however long it is. Let's say 2-3 hours. That would be 2 or 3 hours that I would have rather watched paint dry and probably been more entertained than listening to those.
It could have been 2 or 3 minutes and been too long. But here, I'll give you a brief rundown. You have to, all our viewers, all our listeners, please check this out if you haven't seen it. The new, I don't know how new it is, because like you, I don't watch the show. But their intro is this super intense, dramatic intro, and Skip Bayless is working out, and he looks like basically a skeleton. It's terrible. It's super intense, and they're looking all serious, and whoever edited and put together that video must have just been cracking up the entire time, having to put together such a serious intro to a show that is just such an absolute joke. Yeah, it's just so bad. But I'm sorry, I've derailed this whole show. But let me say on Stephen A. Oh my God, his thoughts about LeBron. I really don't think that he's going to leave Cleveland, even if, because I do on some level get what they're saying in that, he just said he's going to bring them a championship. He never said anything about staying. But won't he also be sort of vilified if he does win a championship and immediately leave?
Yep.
They'll obviously be able to. The fact that he would have brought them a championship will pacify them to some extent, but he still can't just leave immediately. They're still gonna hate him. It's like, all right, I got that done. Cross that off my bucket list. Now back to South Beach, where I can.
no state income tax, none of that. But no,
there you go.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying. As much as it pains me to say, I agree with what you're saying in it. I think that kind of segues right into our new segment that we're going to call, let's just call it,
Hey, where's the beef?
I just want to say Daily Beef. It's not necessarily a weekly podcast. And I want to give a couple shout outs really quickly. Huge shout out to the Super Hoopers podcast. They're over on the B-Ball Network. They are one of my absolute favorite podcasts. They're really funny, really intelligent guys. I had a great conversation with John Hale, one of the hosts. He's at jhillnaamin on Twitter. He's a great guy, and they actually were kind enough to give us a shout out on their most recent podcast. So that's out at the Super Hoopers podcast, guys. Please check them out and give them a listen. But they were one of they have a shout outs and beef segment on their show. They're one of the inspirations for our show and for this segment. And also, shout out to the Twinnovation podcast. They do a Beef of the Week segment on their show, and it is hilarious. And it's funny, actually. I think the guys from Twinnovation actually somehow know the guys from Super Hoopers, even though they're not even, like, it's just a weird coincidence. But anyway, yeah, I guess we'll just call it the Daily Beef Hunter if you want to. Do you want to throw out your beef first?
It's the Daily Beef, and, my beef.
You know what? I think we should think of something with dairy or something, because we're the Cream Team podcast, but that might be a tough pun to come up with.
Hey, just give me some time. It's going to come to me while I'm sleeping tonight or something. But
there you go.
So this beef, y'all, it's with this NBA draft.
Oh, okay.
I've been hating on that draft since day one, and just like y'all heard, I can't remember, I think it was episode 1, this draft, I can't...
This is a year-long beef for Hunter, not a daily.
I can't think of a draft in recent memory that's been as bad as this draft. Your top player, your consensus top player in the draft can't shoot worth a flip. So how do you expect to succeed in today's NBA if you can't shoot? It makes no sense to me. Brandon Ingram... weighs about as much as I did coming out of the womb. Granted, I was a big baby, but I mean, the dude's small. And then your number 3 player is a guy from Croatia who nobody knows anything about.
It's an awesome name.
He does, but this draft is just maybe I hate it so much because I'm a Celtic fan and the Celtics have like the entire draft picks or all the draft picks in this year's draft. But this draft, that is my yearly beef, and I'm gonna have to come up with something better that I have an even bigger beef with in a couple days. But right now, that's what I'm beefing with. What about you?
I think I kind of already aired out my beefs. Number 1 beef was Stephen A. Stop acting like you're a real reporter. You're terrible. Like we said before, you're essentially hot garbage. So honestly, at this point, I'm not even sure if that guy is like self-aware and knows what he's doing. I think he's just sort of spiraled out of control and is just a complete lunatic.
He's doing it for the money.
Yeah, I guess so. Like you said before, we can't really blame him. But yeah, number 1 beef with Stephen A. You're terrible. You're misinformed, and you're wrong. A very, very good % of the time. Number 2 beef, as I said before, is with the NBA. I hate Dante Jones, but you shouldn't have suspended him and let Draymond off the hook. You can't have a double standard. You have to hold everyone accountable. Otherwise, you're as bad as the NFL. So I guess my beef is with awful reporting and
if you
subjective suspensions. Right, I'm sorry.
Awful talking.
I don't know. I don't know what the word is. I'm sorry. Yelling. Really annoying yelling. Because that dude speaks at one, volume level, and it's the worst, it's the most irritating level possible.
So y'all guys, you know how usually we finish the podcast off with just a real quick blurb about the Celtics. Real quick blurb. Try to say that 5 times fast, by the way, while you're listening to this. But we always finish it off with a real quick talk about the Jazz and the Celtics.
And there is nothing more basic, and yet nothing executed any closer to perfection than the Utah Jazz pick and roll.
Back in the clock. Now Malone screen. Stockton to Malone. To the hoop. Hammered up.
5 seconds left. Boston only has a 1-point lead.
Greer's putting the ball on a play. He gets it out deep, and
Havlicek steals it. Over the Sand Rolls. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over.
This is honestly going to be 30, 45 seconds tops because we're running low on time, and also just because there's not a lot to talk about, and I'm not just going to grasp at straws. But I was just reading Danny Ainge. Props to him. He said that he's not going to make a stupid move just for the sake of making a move this offseason. So I love that. I love that he's got enough wherewithal and knowledge to not do that. And it's setting up to be a very interesting offseason, and it's something that I'm pretty excited for, especially now with what he just said. So what do you guys say about the Jazz?
I guess I will keep it brief as well. And in the same vein as you, I'm just sort of hoping that Dennis Lindsey doesn't really heed to the vocal minority in the Jazz, fan community that really hopes that they will make a drastic move, or, I mean, you've heard this before, that they actually want to blow up the team. I hope that they just continue on the path. I know I've said this in episodes before, but continue on the sort of stable and gradual path of growth that they've really established this team on. I really briefly wanted to say that we haven't addressed this. Yes, it happened a while ago. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but it happened before we even started this podcast. But the Jazz got a rebrand, and they had some some new jerseys, a slightly different logo, which they also added to their court. But I wanted to just say that I love the new jerseys. I already really liked our jerseys, but I love the new additions and changes that they made, and I was actually curious as what you thought about them.
Those, I love. Maybe it's just me being a Generation X type person, but I love the new uniform changes from.
Shout out Ed Norton.
I love uniform changes. I really do. I embrace them. There are some that just look terrible, but
yeah. What do you think about the sleeve ones? Just in general, and also the Jazz, if you wanna.
The sleeved in basketball, it's just kind of. It just doesn't go together. Basketball is not.
You think?
When I think of a basketball jersey, I don't think of a T-shirt. I don't. I think of a tank top, and that's just something that don't mess with. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I understand it's more streams of income, which is what we were talking about earlier. Just it's a financial thing. It's a business. I understand.
It's a business when it comes down to it. Yep.
But no, I dig the Jazz new look. And guys, I'm gonna update y'all. We're about to close this out, but I'm gonna update y'all. It's not official yet, but Kyle Lowry just had the game of his life. The Raptors are up 105-99 with 22.5 seconds left.
Wow.
So we can just go ahead. We can go ahead and chalk that up 2-2 series. And
you guys get ready for the Toronto-Oklahoma City finals that we've all been waiting for. I know this is exactly what everyone has hoped, that we could see Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan duel it out with Durant and Westbrook. That's what we all want.
Yes, we can see an amazing finals with two teams that everybody was predicting in there at the beginning, and guys, with that being,
we can see a battle of contested 18-foot jump shots.
And
can't wait.
And teams shooting 37 and 36%. We can't wait for all that. But guys, with that being said, I'm gonna let Griffin close it out like he always does. But I hope y'all enjoyed it. Listen, we finally got this thing up on iTunes. Should be.
Oh yeah, we didn't even say that at the beginning of the show. We're awful hosts,
guys. We finally have it up on iTunes after spending.
We figured it out.
Way too much time. So we have it. We have it up. It should be. It should be able to be searched for. And go ahead and listen. Go ahead and talk to your friends about family, whoever you want. Because we just want to, just like I said at the very beginning, we're just two normal guys who just want to make your lives a little bit better and make our lives a little bit better by talking about the game that we know and love so much. So y'all, hope y'all enjoyed it. Go Cavs, even though it's now a tied series, and adios, y'all.
Yeah, guys. First of all, let me just say thank you, Hunter, for another great show and for reminding me about iTunes. I can't believe we forgot the big announcement that our Neanderthal brains were actually able to figure out how to get that thing on the biggest podcasting platform. So guys, please check it out. Whether that be on iTunes, Spreaker, SoundCloud, or whatever. I wanted to give a shout out to the Super Hoopers podcast. They're a great couple guys over there, and we really appreciate the advice that they've given us and the shout out that they gave us last episode. Please check them out. They have a great show. If you guys would like to contact us, we are at the TCT, just at TCT_podcast on Twitter. We are at thecreamteampodcast at gmail.com. If you want to send us a quick email. Hunter and I need to discuss this briefly, but we wanted to possibly start a mailbag type a segment on the show where you guys can email us questions in and we can discuss those briefly. So we both think that would be great. And also, this episode was a little bit shorter than our past ones. Please give us any feedback about length. I figure you'll probably like us to keep them shorter because no one wants to hear us talk for too long. I certainly don't. So, guys, just thank you again so much for listening. Thank you for all your support. Please share it with your friends if you like it. And thank you guys so much for listening. All right, guys, take it easy. We'll see you soon.
Adios,
Bye.
y'all.